Okay, so for this project, we proposed to create a digital piece of art based off of Muriel Spark's life, and this led me to looking at The Comforters by Muriel Spark. In this book, the protagonist, Carolyn, questions if she's on another plane of existence. So for this, I decided I'd create like another reality, another plane of existence, which I'd be depicting on Unreal game engine. So for this, I started off just doing some research on like this idea of reality, and it came to looking at the idea of Jean Baudrillard's simulation and simulacrum, and it also briefly looked into like Plato and Aristotle's views on representation. So for this, there was two TV shows that came to mind as like a simulation is like a process in motion, it's like a copy, and a simulacrum is a static image, a falsified version. Two shows that came to mind that are full along ideas. So the first one would have been Westworld, and the reason that this is a simulacrum, not a simulation. So a simulacrum is like a falsified version of something. So like the theme park in Westworld is like a simulacrum. So it's like not real, it's like where people go. This is similar like Disneyland, which is also a simulacrum. And the other thing that TV show that I looked at was Stranger Things. And this, the reason I looked at this is because it depicts like another reality through the upside down. And so the simulation's almost like a copy because our reality was similar but not quite the same. I also looked at surrealist cinema. This is like, so surrealist cinema is like a way of like creating like a dreamlike reality through like the TV and the camera. So I decided I'd create my own surrealist cinema and create like imperfect copies and simulations, because like a simulation's a copy, so like a photograph, drawings, scans are all copies. So for my simulations, I focused on creating like close-ups, enlargements, monotone photography, and like different angles just to like create like another reality. Another example would be like a Halloween costume, because this is an imperfect copy because you're not actually what you look like, what you're dressed up as, it's just a dress. So then I decided to create more simulations, more copies, more imperfect copies using carbon scans, drawings, more photographs on trying out different paper. I thought, how could I take this idea further and follow on this idea of like another reality, like a dreamlike reality and like an imperfect copy. So I decided I'd put my scans, my photographs through the scanner and create photocopy scans, and in these I'd move the paper to create like different angles and different images. And I tried this on different papers just to explore the idea of like a simulation, like an imperfect copy. And some were more effective than others, and also some of them were double-sided, which kind of emphasises this idea of like a copy and imperfect copy. And I also tried it out in line paper, grey paper, and giving it different colours, tones. I also decided how else can I follow this idea of an imperfect copy. So I decided to try it like using my hand to create almost images that are almost like creating like a scary imperfect reality. And I also decided to layer, so I layered using different papers to experiment with like the positive and negative lines of the image to like emphasise this idea of like a simulation and a reality, which I'm doing for a sketchbook. I also thought, how can I take this idea even further? So I created imperfect copies of paper by splitting ink and drawings and creating layering. And so as I'm creating a game that I previously mentioned, I thought, what could I put in my game to emphasise this idea of like another reality? And I thought, well, if I follow off the theme of the TV shows that I've referenced, I could create like a futuristic world. So I looked at the organic structures and architecture, and these are some images that I found fascinating. And then I also thought, how could I create my own organic structures? So I experimented with printmaking to create my own copies. And then I also referenced some other people that made their own copies on 3ds Max. And here would be a concept for what I'm aiming to achieve with this world. And then, so I took to 3ds Max to create some of my models, which I later imported onto Unreal, which can be seen in the following images. And here are some like close-ups of the texture and some of the architecture to show like, the buildings that are inspired by futuristic reality. And here an example of the game. And here's one of my futuristic buildings. If I got close, you can see the texture of the grass. As you get closer, it renders better. Here's another one of my futuristic buildings. I have quite a few. And as you get closer, the texture becomes more prominent. And as I was trying to make it look quite realistic, so I added in some flowers, some trees, and created some rocks with a path. And here I'm going to show one of my favourite buildings. The reason that I like this one is because the texture rendered well and the shape really focuses on this futuristic structure.